But the flip side, though, to it that we all know is that if somebody doesn't, maybe they weren't planning to go to South by, and they had the opportunity, and maybe they're just looking for a platform to sort of showcase themselves to specific industry reps. We wouldn't be closed off to going and seeing an artist.
If I liked the band and had advanced knowledge, it wouldn't matter if they're playing Red Gorilla.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it won't do anything for the cachet of.
But once again, that's the whole targeting. You know, if that's the best way you can get a show, and then you know who you can get to the show, that's a little bit different than if you're just sort of like, you know. But when you said other promoters, were you talking about like the parties, like the Deli Party and the Filter Party and all that other kind of stuff?
Well, I was gonna say actually no, like Mike Galaxy promoting a show. He promotes. He's doing some shows. Any other thoughts?
If I was coming from another country, I would do this, and a lot of bands do this coming even just from LA. If there's a particular group of bands that are all sort of collectively friends, or other industry folks that are friends that may have a blog, or someone else has a brand, or an indie label, or a publishing house or something like that could get together and throw a party. It's pretty easy. I mean, like Pete said, Daryl said, everything is a venue in Austin. So literally a coffee shop, a convenience store, you name it, and it's turning into a venue for the day, and they have a stage there. Yeah. Exactly. So something that can actually get you good visibility and add and some added credibility is if a label from Australia gets together with another, maybe on like an Australian blog, and puts on 5 bands for that day party. You might be able to rent something very cheap if everybody each throws in a couple $100. Perhaps you get a stage for 4 hours, and that's a good, because then you can promote. Then you can send in like an email RSVP type thing out, and you're going to collect everyone's emails on that and have a really good idea of who's going to be coming to your show.
Do you guys have any thoughts on, okay, so you have your show or shows booked, and again, you want to get the word out. You want to promote yourself down there. And part of it is cutting through, but also like reaching your target. You know, who do you have any tips and ideas on how you can promote yourself down there or in advance of?
Well, I was just going to say, I think it really depends on what your objective is going into South by Southwest and who I think it's what you should do is try to figure out who your audience is. If you're going in and you're looking to meet more music supervisors for film and TV, then you're going to approach it differently than if you're trying to generate some interest and attention within the A&R community. And I think that what you really, probably the first steps you want to take is reaching out to anybody that's expressed interest in you before going into South by Southwest. So if you've been in touch with any industry reps, whether it's A&R reps or music supervisors or any other industry reps, you should follow up with them to see if they're going to be at South by Southwest. And if they are, you should make them aware of when you're playing and where you're playing, and hopefully you're playing more than one show. And you should tell them about all the shows you're playing, because again, the people that you're reaching out to are probably going to have multiple shows each hour of the day that they're trying to attend. So I think that the first step is really reaching out to the folks that you've already been in touch with, or who have expressed interest in what you're doing and wanting to see you. And then I think simultaneously sort of figuring out who your audience is and who you may want to get in touch with. And, if it is music supervisors, for instance, then you should sort of look to see what is accessible to you. I mean, if you know somebody that knows music supervisors, hit them up and see if they can put you in touch with some soups so that you can get them your information.
That's a great tip. I think, in general, if you've been in contact with industry people, there's a really good chance they'll be there, and this is your chance. And, we always talk about when can I see you? When are you going to be here? Well, they're there. So that's a great tip. You already have the intro and the communication going. Let them know you're going to be there, and they'll be like, cool. They may put you on a list of 50 other things they want to see, but at least they'll know you're coming. But, one thing I want to just sort of do is also manage expectations. Like, South by Southwest is a great platform. It is a showcase, but the idea of getting discovered or signed down there, it's not totally realistic. That happens to the bands and artists that really have a lot of things really clicking, a lot of things going on. Perfect example, Temper Trap. They had 3 or 4 or 5 major things cooking for them. A big license, They had played a bunch of shows before. They had played Big Sound. There was a lot of, I don't want to say hype, but there was just a lot of interest. And same thing with Wolfmother several years before, and it just came to a head at South by Southwest. Mm-hmm. But you got to be realistic about what you're getting into, and I think the key is to also meet as many people as you can down there, so you can make these intros and get yourself out there. So when you come back, or so when you leave, you'll have all these people that you had now met that you can follow up with.
Exactly.
So, and that goes for the artists and the industry people, because let's talk a little bit about networking. This is networking on steroids. South by Southwest is you're networking every second you're there, whether it's on the flight down there. Daryl, tell me your stupid flight story. You say that every year. And make it brief.
Wow. I think this is my stupid flight story. I'm not sure.
You have to be on a certain flight.
Yeah. So Fuel TV's parent company is Fox, and most parent companies are skimpy with the fringes these days. And I always wanted to take a direct flight there because I just don't like taking direct stopovers. And my head of accounting had said, no, you're going to take this other flight because it's $200 cheaper. And I said to him, no, because this flight, and there's like two main flights, one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, that are like, I will see everybody I get to hang out with down there. We can compare notes and see who we're going to see and get our plan down. Like, I will definitely see the two. I saw you last year. Mm-hmm. We always thank each and it becomes like your first networking is when you get to the airport. So I convinced him that was viable networking, and I got to take the more expensive flight and have a little bit more better travel experience. But it's absolutely true. I sat next to Tom DeSavvy, who's a mutual friend of all of ours on the flight, and didn't see him the rest of the trip. But at least I got to have some time with him, so he'll see who he was going to see. And is that brief enough?
That's it. So the idea is you're in networking mode the whole time. If you're going to get a coffee at Starbucks, you're going to meet someone there. If you're going to get a beer, you don't know who is next to you. So be have your radar up and open and be ready to talk to people. And again, there are amazing networking events down there. We're going to have a bunch of them through Sounds Australia, but just be in networking mode. So you may play your show, and a lot of people might not show up, and it might be a not so great slot, and that doesn't make it a failure. You're there to meet as many people as you can and come back with a stack of business cards and email addresses so you can make those connections that you're going to make and that make it really valuable. So any other networking tips?
Yeah, I think you just sort of need to recognize that this is one of the few and maybe last events that you can go to where you can literally just bump into industry reps and other musicians and artists, and it really will benefit you. And there's very few events that one can attend in the music business where you can just sort of walk around, randomly go into venues and discover really great talent and simultaneously meet people who will, I think, positively impact your careers. And so I think you just have to be mindful of that when you're there, that we're all sort of in it there together, and for that reason you want to be taking advantage of that, really, and just being aware.
And make sure your badge is always visible. This sounds so weird, but remember you're wearing a badge. Somebody's not looking at your chest; they're trying to see what your name is. And I know that sounds stupid, but make sure it's always visible. Always have business cards in your badge, ready to go. It's not impolite to look and see who somebody's name is. Everybody's like, "Oh, who are you?" You'll make conversation in the elevator. You'll make conversation at 2 a.m. having pizza. I also would say, and this is just for my sanity, but I'm also the old man here, so I've also learned to take an hour, a day or two, and just kind of get away from it all because it's exhausting. You need comfortable shoes, you need earplugs, you need Advil, and you need Pepto-Bismol, and a lot of water. Drink plenty of fluids, and there's going to be a lot of free alcohol everywhere. My general theory is I don't touch anything till after 6 o'clock because you need to make it all night, and you're going to be exhausted.
So really, excuse me, I just want to interrupt, Peter. I think we've got Brad from the Travel Bureau on the phone. Is that you, Brad?
Okay. Brad is with Travel Managers in Sydney. He's been a partner and an ally with us for a long time. So Brad can tell you a little bit about just the travel tips, and if you haven't made your accommodations and arrangements yet, he can definitely help you there. And Brad, thanks for popping in, and wanted to see if you have any thoughts on you've done this a long time on traveling to South by Southwest.
Yeah, I think the main thing about it at the moment is that the South by Southwest accommodation allotments, they're now fully sold out for the whole time. So you can't get accommodation through South by Southwest anymore, which basically, in a nutshell, means there's nothing within walking distance of either the convention centre or 6th Street. There's still places around. I actually booked one for someone the other day. They're fairly cheap if you're out of town, but you're going to have additional costs, whether it be cabs or the shuttles that South by have running, which I think about $50 for the 5 days of music. Same for interactive and film, or $80 if you're there for the whole time. They go from specific hotels, but which as far as the South by was selling, but they've now sold out of those. But there's other hotels quite close by that you can sort of just walk next door to and get the shuttle from there. The other thing, if people haven't got their airfares yet, you want to get onto that. There's still some seats available in and out of Austin, although they're getting increasingly more expensive. I think originally from an East Coast perspective, you're looking at about $1,500 return. You're now, if you're there for leaving on, say, the Sunday night and sort of going over to the States, you're looking closer to the $2,200 mark at the moment. But it's still, you can still get in and out. It also comes down to how your ease of travel and how long you're prepared to lay over and so forth. Those who have already bought tickets and have bought, say, a cheapie to the West Coast, and then separate tickets online from there. There's going to be some exceptions to this, but as a general rule, once you hit the States, you don't have any free baggage allowance. You'll be paying for each bag if it's a separate ticket. If you've bought a through ticket all the way, you're fine. You got basically 2 pieces all the way. But something to keep in mind that I've just had a quick look at. They keep changing it all the time, but I had a look at AA this morning. You're paying $25 for your first piece, and then $35 for a second, and anything over that, you're paying $100 a piece. So you probably want to keep that in mind, that if you have booked separate tickets and you've got a whole heap of gear, you may be getting hit for some nasty charges when you hit LA or so forth. Those who aren't going on P1 visas or Australian passports, you definitely need to have an ESTA. An ESTA is an online visa waiver that you do before you travel. You can get it. You generally get it instantly, but it can take up to 3 days. So keep that in mind. Don't leave it till the morning that you're leaving. It used to be free, but from September, the US government decided that it's probably good to charge people to get a free visa. So it's about $14 US or something like that. Those things last for 2 years. They give you 90 days entry into the US, but unlimited travel for 2 years from the date of the issue. If you have a look at it, those who haven't done one but have been to the States before, they used to give you a green card on the plane you filled out. It's pretty much just an electronic version of that, but that you should be doing that now. And the other 2 things I was going to say, those who haven't been there before, when you arrive, probably the easiest thing to do is jump on a super shuttle at the airport to your hotel. That's $26 return. Plus, I think you got a month to go back, so you got plenty. It's not an issue. Just get the return. Those who are travelling with a group, you can get your own private super shuttle, which is a lot cheaper. It's basically $108 return. So if you've got more than 4 people, you can have up to seven people. That's a cheaper way of doing it rather than buying the individual tickets. And the other thing is you won't do a milk run then. They'll take you straight to your hotel and straight back. And the last thing is just, you go to America, you need insurance. For nothing else, if not for your gear, just for the medical expenses that you could get hit with. There's a whole heap of cheapies you can get online. That's basically all I had to say, and things of tips, if anyone's got any questions or anything.
Brad, can you tell us also how anyone can reach you if they need to get a hold of you and want to get your advice or use your service?
Email's probably easiest. It's brad@travelmanagers.com.au.